Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And we'd like to take a moment to welcome you to May. We are in the home stretch of the school year, celebrating all of the wonderful things that have happened during 2021, 2022. Despite kind of entering the year into a pandemic, we are concluding the year with all kinds of wonderful celebrations of our students, our staff, and our community. And today is a day like no other. We are celebrating a program that we have here in our local community that has grown over the past several years, as well as some of our students who are engaged in this incredible opportunity that is provided through the Whiteside Area Career Center. So without further ado, we're going to be spending our time here today on Facebook, talking with a few friends of mine from the CEO program through the Career Center. And so I'd like to take a moment to introduce my special guests this morning. We have with us Emily Zimmerman, who is the Assistant Professor of Business at Sauk Valley Community College, as well as the CEO Facilitator. Good morning, Emily. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Great. Emily, before I get to our other lovely guests who are students in the CEO program, I was wondering if maybe you could take an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and the role in the CEO program.
Yeah, so I am in my third year of teaching full-time in education. I am the Assistant Professor of Business at Sauk Valley Community College, so I'm in kind of a hybrid role to where half of my time is spent with adults in higher education, and the other half of my time is spent every morning with high school juniors and seniors doing the CEO program. It's an East Side program. Right now, we have 3 schools that are feeding into it this year, consisting of Dixon High School, Faith Christian, and Polo. But it's primarily, our class days are primarily held in Dixon as kind of our center hub. So it's been great. It's been the first year that it has seemed semi-normal since the year we started was the year the pandemic hit.
Nothing like starting a new endeavor in the middle of a nationwide or global pandemic. So hats off to you for growing the program and really making it flourish. A true testament to any program are the students who are enrolled and some of the incredible things that they do. So we are pleased to offer, or introduce, I should say, 2 other very special guests here this morning, students enrolled in the CEO program. We have Marley Oros. I hope I, again, am saying your last name correctly. And then we have Sarah Beth Henich. And so ladies, welcome so much to Teacher Talk here this morning. And same question I think goes for you. Can you start us off this morning by telling us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what drew you to the program? So Marley, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Marley Oros. I am a senior at Dixon High School, and I decided to join CEO because I really wanted to improve my communication skills. I have a mom who's the biggest extrovert I'd ever met. And I really look up to her, and I wanted to be able to communicate that effortlessly. And I know that that's a big impact that the CEO program has. And so I wanted to join to be able to work on that skill. And I feel that I have gotten very close, if not met that goal going into this program.
I would say so, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. How about you, Sarah Beth? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what drew you to the CEO program.
So I'm Sarah Beth Henich. I'm a senior at Faith Christian High School. I had 2 friends go through the program. Actually, the first year it was started, and I just saw how much they grew, and I really looked up to them, and I wanted to see that personal growth in myself. And I'm always looking for a way to better myself and just see how far I can go, and CEO is the perfect way to do that.
Well said, Sarah Beth. Always wonderful opportunities out there in the community and for young people such as yourselves to kind of investigate all of the possibilities with entrepreneurship and communication skills. So hats off to both of you ladies. We're going to get back to you in just a second, but Emily, I'm going to ask you and put you on the spot here. You mentioned that this is the CEO East program. So I'm hoping, we've heard a little bit from both Marley and Sarah Beth, and you've kind of given us a little bit of background on your role and what maybe some of this looks like. But if we're to dig a little bit deeper into the CEO program, can you tell us a little bit more about how that works, working with juniors and seniors and high schools? What could students expect when they enroll in the CEO program? And what kind of outcomes should they anticipate?
Yeah, absolutely. So CEO stands for Creating Entrepreneurial Opportunities, which it does just that in a nutshell. However, there is a little bit of a misconception because you don't have to feel like you need to be an entrepreneur or business owner in order to go into the program. So like Sarah Beth and Marley, I believe both, neither of them have any desire to be a business owner in their career endeavor. It's hosted by the Whiteside Area Career Center, and we have 17 feeder schools that flow into WACC. So I originally sat on the CEO program as a board member, and as a board member, all of us were like, we're really not able to connect with students that live in the East Territory of the district. We weren't getting a lot of Dixon students, Polo, AFC, Oregon Amboy. So we brainstormed to figure out how we could do that, and the only solution that we could come up with, which luckily has worked out very well for us, is to split the program in half and have an East Side program primarily held in Dixon, a West Side program primarily held in the Sterling Rock Falls area. But we work very collaboratively, myself and the other facilitator, Lee Hartman, work very collaboratively. It kind of works in tandem. We even share guest speakers and every once in a while tours. But the whole point of the program is to become entrepreneurial almost thinkers, to be able to think independently, to know that there's not necessarily this right or wrong or black and white answer. There's lots of possible solutions to a problem, and it helps us to help them contribute to the importance of being of economic development, having a sustainable community. There's no textbooks, there's no tests, just real life learning experiences and opportunities as far as taking risks, managing the results, and learning from the outcomes.
So I feel like I myself have learned something just by having you share that information. And what amazing skills to learn as a high school junior or senior, really kind of setting these students up for success as they move on to college and or career. So thank you so much for enlightening us on all of that. I almost feel kind of ashamed then asking you ladies this next question. Did you develop a business out of this effort and the coursework that you've engaged in? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about what that inspiration was, how it went? Give us all the details on your business endeavors. And so Sarah Beth, let's start with you this time.
So I really struggled for a long time to find an idea for my business. And I was talking to a friend one day and I was like, I really need a business. Like, it's getting to crunch time here. And she mentioned that while her sister was away at college, she was pressing flowers and framing them. And I was like, I really love flowers. Like, it's something I'm very passionate about. So I decided that my business was going to be pressing flowers and then framing them. And I called it Press Pretties. And I did really well at the trade show. I was able to pay back my loan in the first night. And then the second night was completely profit for me. I made 87 frames and sold 59 of them. So I did fairly well at the trade show, and it was a great learning experience for me. And my favorite part was the socialization at the trade show.
So Sarah Beth, I'm not going to let you off the hook so quickly here. You mentioned a loan. How did that work?
So every business or every student and CEO has to create a business plan, and they pitch it in front of bankers. Nick Jacobs was one of our bankers, and we had to have the business plan, have a complete pitch for him, and had everything mapped out, like expenses and just a list of everything that was going to be a part of our business. And based on those expenses, we had to calculate how much money we were going to need to start our business. And personally, mine was $375. And so I was given a loan of $375, and the loan is completely forgivable. So if I wasn't able to pay it back, it wasn't a completely big deal. But thankfully, I was able to pay that back.
Sounds like, and then some. So congratulations to you on your business endeavor. Marley, how about you? Tell us about your business and what the inspiration was and how things turned out.
Yeah, of course. So my business was called Corny Pops. I sold 6 different flavors of handmade popcorn. And I named it that way for 3 reasons. The first, because Corny Pops is kind of a play on words for popcorn, so I thought that was witty and cute. The second is because at the bottom of each bag, there was a hand-chosen, laminated, and cut out like corny joke. So it's kind of like a Cracker Jack, a fun little wait till you get to the bottom of the bag. And then lastly, the machine that I used actually belonged to my grandfather, who used to push it around in the 80s and actually use the same machine to sell popcorn from. And his name was Roger Jean Corning. So that's where the corny and Corny Pops comes from. And it kind of started as, a tribute to his life and legacy, and it stayed that way throughout the entire business. And I really loved being able to show people all of the fun and wonderful parts of my grandfather that they never got to witness because sadly he passed 6 years ago. And I was just so overjoyed to be able to share that with people. And I did pretty well. The first night I paid back my loan, and then the second night was all profit, just as Sarah Beth said with hers as well. And I almost completely, besides 2 bags of kernels, I completely sold out.
So Marley, number one, I'm sure you talk about this in class, but one of those things to consider in creating a successful business is having a story. And so certainly the story that you shared with us, that why piece, that was really neat to hear about how you kind of embrace your family and your relationship with your grandfather to build your business. So that was so incredible to hear. I'm going to ask you and have a similar follow-up question that I did with Sarah Beth. Tell us a little bit about how much what was your loan? How much did it take to start this business up? And hey, by the way, if you sold out, did you take orders? And if so, how might one go about placing an order?
So my loan was a little bit more than Sarah Beth's, just because I had a couple more things that I had to buy. Mine was $520, and that was around average to a little bit high for the loans that the class took. Let's see. I did not even think about taking orders, but I do still have a couple bags and I can order them pretty easily. And I was actually thinking about doing a little popcorn cart at my graduation party because I have the cart, so why not? But absolutely, I was thinking about possibly doing it over the summer as well, just to kind of make extra money, because all of my profit that I made is going straight to college expenses. So anything additional that I decide to do over the summer will also go to college expenses.
Well, Marley, I can tell you, I was at a softball game last night. There are a lot of hungry, fans that are out there in the stands this time of year. So if you get your little cart, municipal band concerts, I think that you could continue to make a profit towards your college tuition. So just something to consider. I'll put that out there. Emily, I'm going to come back to you. We've heard these wonderful ladies tell us about the trade show that evening. Can you tell us a little bit about the trade show? And also, I think that the CEO program has a few other events that perhaps they sponsor throughout the year. So can you tell us a little bit about those as well?
They do. So the events that the CEO program all kind of filter into each other, and there's a why behind everything. So leading up to the first or second week of school, when CEO first starts, we do a lot of I guess, brainstorming activities, and finally I tell them something different every year. So this is the first year I did something called 1 to 100, which I borrowed. I'm not going to say stole. I borrowed the idea from another facilitator that does a CEO program in Southern Illinois. And basically what happened was I gave all of the students $100 and I said, you guys have a week to 10 days to come to turn this into $100. And as you're doing it, you need to be very creative. It needs to be ethical. And as you're doing it, I need you to do a profit and loss statement along the way so I can see what you spent that dollar on, how you turned it into profit, and how you kept folding it over into more. I don't have the exact amount of students, but I think at least 9 of them, 9 out of the 11 on the East program were able to turn that $1 into 100. So hypothetically, that $1,000 was seed money to put towards their next business, which was a class business event. They did that in the winter. It was after Christmas break. They really wanted to do it before Christmas break, but there were still a lot of restrictions at that time, and we weren't sure if they were going to do a product or if they were going to do an event. And this class in particular, they really wanted to do an event. So we waited until after winter break, ended up hosting a trivia night at the VFW. And it was it was overly successful. It was almost too successful. We ran out of space. We had to turn down people who wanted tables after we had booked out. So problem solving and strategic planning was very, very in their face that week leading up to the event. From there, I think they made almost $9,900, right under a $10,000 threshold for their class event. That money all goes into a student account at WACC. And that's actually the money that they borrow from. So when we have bankers days, yes, they pitch in front of real life bankers. I recruit bankers from local community banks that are familiar with business plans, familiar with CEO, but they're really borrowing money from themselves. So that's why the loan is forgiven, and that's why there's no interest rate. But when they pay back that loan, the benefit of it is 75% of what they make from their loan. So once all the loan money comes back, 75% of what they make ends up going back into the CEO program. So now these students have become investors because that's how the program runs, is off of investments. If we don't have investors, we don't have a program. So, and then the other 25%, they get to choose how that money is spent in the community. The catch is it has to be put towards something in the community. It's not, we can't go and like spend a day at Six Flags or something, which sounds great and fun. But I know last year's students donated it back to the Dixon Chamber because the Dixon Chamber was so good to us last year. And this year we still, we were supposed to talk about it today and we didn't. We got really sidetracked for our last class day. So we'll have to figure out where that money is going to go to. I'm really excited to see what they choose.
You know, what I love about what you shared is that not only is it kind of growing knowledge, skills, experiences, understandings with students, but we're also so highly engaged in the community. And I think that's so important. We're a very rural community. We depend on our students and our young people to be engaged and to hopefully come back to our communities to continue to grow them. So just wonderful to hear about that community component and your willingness and generosity to give back. So ladies, as we wrap up our teacher talk this morning, we've heard so much about all of your wonderful work in the CEO program, but we want to know a little bit more about what's next. So, as we close up here today, if you could tell us a little bit about what your future plans are, and then also I'm curious, I think I might know what you might say, but what's one thing that you really kind of took away from the CEO program and your experience throughout the entire school year? So Marley, I will start this question off with you.
Oh, wonderful. So I am actually committed to Augustana College. I am going to study English in hopes of one day earning my PhD and becoming a professor at the collegiate level. For a really long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And one of my mentors through CEO, another big bonus is you get a lot of mentors to guide you through life, said to me, well, what do you enjoy doing? And I thought, reading and writing, but what can you do when you read and write all the time? And she goes, teach it. So that was how I figured that out. And you mentioned coming back. I do hope to one day move back here, hopefully get a job in the area, and raise my kids here and raise my family and my kids here because I love Dixon so much and I'm not ready to leave quite yet. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned in CEO this year, we sit with a lot of presenters and speakers, and that's a lot of just listening to what they're saying and soaking it in and taking it with you for the next years in your life. And one of our speakers said, to be successful, you have to listen to understand and not listen to respond. And I think that lesson will be a pivotal part of my life for the rest of my life because I'm a very talkative person, and sometimes I worry that if I have nothing to say when they're finished speaking, that it's going to be awkward or that there's going to be dead space. And I have to realize that if I'm soaking in what they're telling me and if I'm learning lessons from them, that dead space is okay because that means I'm still comprehending what they were saying to me. And I think that was a huge lesson the CEO taught me this year.
That's a great life lesson. And PS, from one Augie grad to a future Augie student, best of luck to you on the Augustana campus. It's a great school.
Thank you.
Sarah Beth, how about you? Tell us about your future plans and maybe a little bit about what you're taking away from your experiences this year with CEO.
So I plan on going to SOC for 2 years, registered, and have classes all set for fall. Afterwards, I plan to transfer to Western. All of my family has gone to Western, so I'm really excited to go there. Something I took away from CEO was that hard work never fails. It doesn't matter what you're doing or what happens. If you work hard at it, you'll always succeed and get where you want to. And when you fail, you always have to learn from that failure. It's something that we heard the first day and we haven't stopped hearing it. And it's really powerful because if you learn from your mistakes and you work hard to learn from those mistakes, you'll never fail and you'll always succeed.
I love your resilience. That'll carry you very far in life. And not to leave you out of the post-secondary, congratulations to you. I've also enrolled in Western for some graduate work. So you ladies are both close to my heart when it comes to post-secondary learning. So we have high hopes for the two of you. So wonderful to meet you here today and inspired by your stories and by your journeys. So thanks so much for taking the time out today to share all of that with us. Yes, we look forward to hearing these stories in the month of May and actually throughout the year here on Teacher Talk. So we appreciate all of the time that you took this afternoon. Friends, that wraps us up here for this edition of Teacher Talk here on Facebook as we look to the month of May to continue to close out our 21-22 school year and celebrate all of the great things that are happening in our schools and in our communities. On behalf of my absent friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus, and my special guests today, we have Marley, Sarah Beth, and Emily Zimmerman from Sauk Valley Community College and the CEO program at the Whiteside Area Career Center. Thank you so much for joining us as we look ahead to the month of May and to the rest of this week. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. An even better Friday, a wonderful, gorgeous, hopefully nice weather spring weekend, and we'll see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.